And good afternoon and welcome to a Tuesday episode of Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I'm Frank Granito and I'm very happy to have joining me in studio today Donald Eng. Don, great to have you back.
Great to be back. You know, I actually got to watch some sports while I was on vacation last week. I was in Myrtle Beach. They've got a neat little high A minor league team called the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. And so, you know, a 99 degree steamy night. Let's go watch some minor league baseball. So it was fun. Glad to be back.
And unfortunately, it was not much cooler here, so you really did not miss out on much. A lot of things to get to today, but let's start with where Don kicked it off. Let's stay with baseball. Last week, we were at Kubetta Stadium in Stamford for the 13-year-old division Babe Ruth State Championships. And Don, we saw some great baseball on both Thursday and Friday night in the championship game.
You know, and it's really, it's always fun to watch the 13-year-olds because the Little League World Series gets a lot of attention. You know, the Babe Ruth, they're only about a year or so older, but it always looks to my eyes like the Babe Ruth players look like giants compared to the Little Leaguers, just a year younger.
And we saw some big kids in the tournament. Stanford and Waterford ended up meeting in the championship game after winning their semifinal games on Thursday nights. And Waterford, for the second year in a row now, is the state champion as they knocked off Stanford 11-1.
Yeah, very impressive performance. The second time beating Stanford in a week for Waterford, and you know, Waterford is just that quintessential small town. That's a baseball town. Whether it's their high school team that was ranked #1 for a couple of weeks, not #1, but you know that it ascended and really was made a run in Class M, or the Little League. You know, it's like these small close-knit towns that play baseball. Waterford, you know, the big example of that.
Waterford started off the semifinal rounds against Darien. They won that game 9-0 with relative ease. It was Ryan Bacon, who was the star of that game. He threw a complete game shutout, all 7 innings pitched, struck out 1, only walked 2, surrendered 6 hits. It was really a great example of how good they could be defensively, but the bats are on display again in that one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a shutout and you score 9 runs, and then obviously in the finals, you know, allowing 1 run, scoring 11. Waterford, I thought, clearly the class of the tournament, and you know they definitely demonstrated it. And now, you know, on to the regionals. It
was a close championship game until about the fifth inning, when Waterford came out and piled on another 6 runs. But the game of the tournament was late Thursday night. It ran until about 11:45 after the rain delay. Stanford goes into the bottom of the 7th inning, trailing 3-1. And that's when things got exciting. Let's take a look at a highlight from that game, and then we'll have a call from the championship game as well. At this point in time could win the game. There is great speed out there on second, and Dawkins has got a giant lead. That one is ripped up the middle to center field. Dawkins being waved home. 1 run will score. The second run coming to the plate. The throw is not in time, and Stanford walks off. It took just 1 pitch. As Collazo went right. And so we see there, Stanford came into the inning trailing 3-1. They scored 1 run. They never actually surrendered an out at all, Don. It was a great display of composure and facing adversity to bounce back and be able to win that game.
And now, you know, and it was some hustle on the bases too. You saw the 2 runners coming in only about 30 feet apart. Looked almost like they were slowing down for a baton exchange. And then, you know, I hate to see it. In this case, that you know, it worked out. That headfirst dive into home plate. I was glad to see that, you know, that the catcher there stayed down for a while, able to get back up.
He was unfortunately carted off in an ambulance that night. They took him to the hospital. He had an MRI done and an x-ray. There was no break and no original signs of any tearing in the ligaments. So from what we hear, he's doing well. But it was very tough. And you bring up a good point, Don. We see the head first slide. At the age of 13, it's the first year you are allowed to slide head first. We talked all week about the differences of playing in the big field at Kubetta Stadium. That's a great example we didn't mention where the different rules come into play.
Right. You know, we talk about the bigger field, the bigger outfield, the more area for balls to drop, the long distance between bases. That head first slide. You know, it doesn't really get you there any faster, particularly at home plate where you're allowed to run through it. But you know, in this case, obviously, you know, there was a play at the plate, so the kid was trying to slide and get down. Just an unfortunate collision. Just from from my Little League baseball playing days, when we weren't allowed to slide head first, my first thought was always that catcher is wearing an awful lot of equipment to be hitting head first. So that was always my thought on the matter.
I was not a big fan of sliding headfirst in the plate. I think there was a lot of emotion and excitement to
Right.
Dawkins knowing that he was most likely going to score with ease, and he came around flying, had a great lead, and a lot of credit to Collazo. That was David Collazo, the shortstop, who was their best hitter that night. Really had a great game. Comes up there. We had seen 12 straight balls thrown. He comes up, first pitch he gets, and rips one up the middle. So it was a great job by Stanford getting back into the championship game. Waterford, however, would prove to be too much, and it was 2 big innings. They scored 4 runs early on, came back still leading 5-1, and finally broke it open, and they made it an 11-1 game, and this was how that game ended. We'll take a look at that shot right now.
Just as we have seen all evening from Burrows, working quickly, throwing strikes. What more can you ask of him?
That one misses on the outside corner. Want to take a quick second, thank our cameramen, Martin Hersham and Rocco Veluzzi. Did a great job standing in here all night. Again, Eric Gendron directing. AJ Simonowski and I had the pleasure of calling this championship game. This one cut on, fouled off to the right side and up over the bleacher, so that one out of play. Two and two the count to Healy. 2 outs standing between Waterford and the regional tournament. Ball missing up high, 3-2 now. And AJ, let's take a second. This Stanford team had an unbelievable year, assuming the worst, and we won't be seeing a 2-out rally. They had a great tournament. This Waterford team is a special group of young men. This one lined up the middle. Fielding there is Bakken. Tag second, fires to first. That's going to do it. They'll turn the double play and end the game. Burrows goes all the way, gets the complete game win. Your 2016 state champions, the Waterford Babe Ruth All-Stars.
And so there you see it, the double play to end the game. They turned 2 in that game. Another one was at a big crucial situation, but it was a fundamentally sound team. Jared Burrows pitched all 7 innings, surrendered 5 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, had 8 strikeouts in the game, Don.
Right, and of course we couldn't let it go without commenting on the awesomeness that was the stirrup sock and the high pants on that Waterford team. That looked sharp, didn't it?
It was one of the few differences between the two teams, wearing matching pants, the both having blue jerseys. I told AJ Simonowski, well, at least we know one team has got the pants down, the other's rocking true socks. But it was a great game. It was a great week. We thank everyone with the Babe Ruth organization and the Stanford Parks and Rec Department, again, for all their hospitality and how accommodating they were. Now Waterford heads off to regionals starting this weekend. This is a team, like we said earlier, they were up there last year. They came in, they showed they can dominate pitching, surrendering only 1 run in 2 championships format games while scoring 20. What kind of success do you think they can have up there, Don?
Well, I think I really think that they don't take a backseat to anybody in this tournament. You have the 2 teams from Massachusetts, obviously. Being the largest state in the region, you kind of have to give them the edge, even though we don't really know how a lot of the teams, what kind of schedules they've been playing, things like that. But the thing is with Waterford, as you mentioned, they hit, they field, and they've been there before. So this is their second year in a row there. Waterford is a team that kind of just expects to win when they step onto the field. So I think that attitude will do them very well. On the other hand, they're 13-year-olds, so yeah, as long as you can keep them from playing Pokemon Go on the bus, they should be okay.
And it wasn't just the top of their lineup that was hitting. We saw it from top to bottom. Kids like Robert Zawacki, Mike Morelli, Ryan Bakken were all very active at the plate in both games. Every player in the lineup registered at least 1 hit for the team, and multiple walks were in there. Very patient at the dish. They're an experienced team. We hope that they can go up and represent Connecticut as well as possible, and we wish them the best of luck. We will take a quick break here on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network, but when we come back, we stick with our baseball theme. We take a look at some of the other baseball teams and how they're doing with the regionals and state tournaments around the state.
For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. My property taxes on my single-family home were close to $20,000 a year. Now that I've downsized and I'm in a townhome, and because of the condo tax laws, my fees have gone from $20,000 down to about $5,300 with the star exemption. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
And we welcome you back here to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Frank Granito, Donald Eng. Don, we'll stay with baseball here for a minute. Let's shift over, though, to the 15U division of Babe Ruth, where the Trumbull All-Stars knocked off East Lyme by a score of 5-1 on Saturday to win their Babe Ruth State Tournament.
Yeah, that was a big game for Trumbull. Chaz Stolba with 2 hits, including a double. He had 2 RBIs for Trumbull as Trumbull improves to 6-1. Steve Ioli with the complete game and 2 strikeouts, also 2 hits. That's one of the things also that, when you look at the youth league games, the pitchers are always the best hitters on the team also. That's always fun to see. Ben DeMillo with an RBI for Trumbull also. Trumbull actually also had to win back-to-back to win the tournament, making it to the championship out of the losers bracket. So beating East Lyme on Friday, then following it up with the win on Saturday, also in the IF game on the day after.
And it's very interesting because up at the 15U level, they use a true double elimination style tournament. We had big debates while covering the 13-year-old because you had pool play, top 2 teams advancing, and then single elimination out of the final 4. Trumbull for the 13U missed out on qualifying for the championship rounds off a 3-way tiebreaker. You don't have those kind of issues when you get to a double elimination tournament. What's your take on the difference?
I really like a true double elimination, particularly in baseball, more so than softball, because in baseball, your pitcher has a bad game, things like that. You kind of. Baseball is, in my opinion, is simply not a sport that lends itself to a winner-take-all kind of one game. There's a reason why the World Series is 7 games, things like that. I do think that a double elimination tournament really gives you the best chance of the best team in the tournament actually winning the tournament and not having sort of a fluke decide the tournament.
And it's funny you say that it shouldn't be a fluke or you have to play more than one game. The team that originally beat Trumbull, sent them to the losers bracket, was East Lyme.
Right. Yeah, and that's the fun thing with the you get a little revenge working for you in the brackets. There's really nothing like watching a team make a run through the losers bracket and fight their way back to win the tournament, and then that championship game with an if game. It's just I understand that when you're trying to prepackage and the tournament has to end on a certain day, that kind of complicates things a little bit because you're not exactly sure when the tournament's going to end. But certainly when possible, I would always be in favor of a double elimination.
So Trumbull now advances to the regional tournament in Lynn, Massachusetts. That tournament will begin on Friday for that team. We wish them the best of luck, as they will also be representing at the next Connecticut at the next level. Another team that's off at regionals representing Connecticut right now is the 10-year-old team of the from the Cal Ripken League, and it's out of Norwalk, Connecticut. This team picked up another win in the quarterfinals to advance to the semifinals up in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. They are the defending New England champs and have played 20 innings of baseball, Don, and are yet to surrender a run.
Yeah, that's, they look like a powerhouse as always. A good team coming out of Norwalk. Without seeing who the other teams are, you have to figure they're probably right in the thick of it. As always, when you have kids that can pitch and they score runs also. These teams are going to be tough to beat.
They played in the quarterfinals yesterday, and that was against Bellow Falls, Vermont. They won that game 10-0 in the fourth inning after reaching the run rule. And it's a team that is getting the bats hot, but they're just doing it with incredible defense, incredible pitching. Andrew McNamara has been stepping up for them. Henry Feinstein had a big game for that Norwalk team.
Right.
They won regionals last year as a 9-year-old team. This is another Connecticut team now with a lot of experience that's about to make a big run, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly looks to be the case. Just again, steamrolling the opposition so far. They await the winner of Cranston, Rhode Island versus Plymouth, Mass. So Norwalk will be back in action tomorrow, playing the winner of Rhode Island versus Massachusetts.
That will be a semifinal game, and if everything goes according to plan for that Norwalk team, at the age of 10 now, they are eligible to advance to a World Series tournament. So they are holding strong too. As Don, the state of Connecticut baseball right now, maybe it's a little stronger than we gave it credit earlier in the summer, because we're overshadowed by how effective lacrosse play can be from the state.
No, certainly. Obviously, with kids now playing lacrosse, some of the other sports that are now year-round sports, you always kind of think it would dilute the talent pool for baseball. That clearly does not appear to be the case, at least not this year.
No, and so at least 3 teams playing in the regional tournament. The Stanford 18U team has advanced to regionals as well. We wish them luck. Sticking back now to Little League, Fairfield American defeated Trumbull National 6-3 in the district finals to win that tournament and punch their ticket to the sectionals, which will begin this evening at Unity Park. Don, Trumbull finished the district tournament with a record of 7-0.
Yeah, no, certainly a powerful, a great hitting Trumbull team. 7-hit, 5-run second inning opened the floodgates there in the championship game. Fairfield just kind of put the hammer down. Trumbull never really got back into it. So, just a great performance there all around.
It really was, and it's another very, very competitive baseball team and tournament, as we saw Fairfield working through Trumbull National. Trumbull had lost twice to Fairfield in the tournament. After that second inning, they gave up the 5 runs. There wasn't really a chance, especially the way Trumbull's hitting, but then you factor in how good their pitching was. Sectional games will start tonight. First game up in their pool will be Milford National against Stamford North, which figures to be a good game, 5:45 p.m. at Unity Park tonight. Tomorrow it will be Fairfield and Milford, who will play on Wednesday, and then they finish off round-robin play with Fairfield and Stamford on Thursday night.
Right, and and that's also it'd be it's kind of a fun night out. If people who have kids, baseball fans, that Unity complex is really just a spectacular Little League complex up in Trumbull.
And just across the board, if you are anywhere near one of these big parks, we had, and I know Eric is over there directing right now, but he can tell you, we were down at Kubetta Stadium. It was an unbelievable atmosphere. There were a lot of people that came out. It was 2 beautiful nights. The concession stand was great. You've got the ice cream trucks around. In the middle of the summer, as great as all these other sports are, there's something about baseball in the summer, and it's the way it's supposed to be.
It really is, and I'm as big a Major League Baseball fan as anyone in the world. But like I say about high school athletics, and the same thing holds true with Babe Ruth and Little League. Watching the pros is great. No one plays harder than the amateur kids.
Now. So a lot of Connecticut baseball going deep into the summer now as teams advance to states, sectionals, and of course regional tournaments, and possibly even World Series. We wish all of them the best of luck, and we will continue to update you on their success as the summer runs on. Don and I will step aside one more time here on Nutmeg Sports. When we return, we'll shift gears. We've got a little girls lacrosse and a new athletic director down at Trinity Catholic. We'll be right back on the HAN Network.
Keep your future star active and happy this summer at Future Stars Sports Academy camps and clinics. The Academy is offering sessions throughout Fairfield County. Sign up for a week of basketball, cheerleading, football, or a multi-sports camp. At Future Stars Academy, children learn the fundamentals while under the supervision of qualified coaches. And what sets the Academy apart is its special Lessons of Life sessions, teaching values and focusing on building self-esteem, friendships, and honesty. Located at Sports Center, Connecticut in Shelton and in Sports in Trumbull. Register online at FutureStarsSportsAcademy.com.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
And we welcome you back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito, Donald Eng. Don, we'll shift gears here for a minute now, step away from baseball, unfortunately. But Hearst Media just announced its roster for the 2016 Girls Lacrosse All-Star team, which featured 10 FCAC players. Darien led the way with 4 girls, including Chandler Kirby, Susie Ropp, Laura Murphy, and Katie Cronin. Ridgefield High School had 2 girls on the team, with midfielders Kimmy Weinstock and goalie Maddie Burns. And final 4 girls of the FCAC on the roster included Ward's Libby McKenna, Ludlow's Reagan Steed, Greenwich High's Paige Mautner, and New Canaan's Catherine Granito. The head coach of the team was Darien's Lisa Lindley, as she was the coach of the year after leading the Wave to a record of 21-1-1 with the FCAC championship and a Class L state championship to boot. Don, before we look at the rest of the roster, let's first talk about the fact that the FCAC put 10 girls and the coach onto this team.
Right. Well, you know, it was always going to be FCAC heavy, with 2 out of the 3 girls' state championships going to FCAC teams. That would be Darien in Class L, New Canaan in Class M. So really, I don't think there was ever very much question that the best girls lacrosse in the state of Connecticut was being played in the FCAC. And as far as coaches go, you have a 21-1 team that just kind of that was dominant on their way to a state championship. No real surprises there as far as that I saw anyway.
Other players on the roster included Emma Gallagher of Joel Barlow, Taylor Moore of Weston, Haley McCormick of Pomperog. You saw Ryan Newell of Bunnell, Katie Clark of New Fairfield, Allison McCormick from Pomperog. And the MVP, Don, I thought might have been the one shocker, because we talked about how the most girls come out of the FCAC. They produced 2 state champions, arguably the best team. I don't even know if you can make the argument. the best team in the state with a lot of the best players, but it's Bridget Gima of New Fairfield, who scored 71 goals, 26 assists this year, led them to a SWC Division I champion. She is ultimately the MVP of girls lacrosse for the year. What are your thoughts on that choice from Hearst Media?
Well, I mean, it's tough to say. It's tough to say. That part of the state we really don't get to see. Don't get to see too often. And the numbers I'm off the page at you. 71 goals, 26 assists. Also. In the face-off circle, 181 draws, 124 wins, and then 87 draw controls. I mean, All-American, two-time All-Conference. Going to play Division I at UConn. I really have no basis to argue with it, other than to say that that New Fairfield, obviously, again, playing a little upstate. Perhaps didn't face the level of competition, game in and game out, as some of the other conferences would have. But as far as based on the numbers alone, it seems like it seems a solid pick. I don't really have too much to quibble with.
And I don't intend to knock Bridget Zima with this comment, because I do think that she produced the numbers both scoring wise and in the draw circle that qualified her to win this trophy. But I would say this: New Fairfield was eliminated in the quarterfinals of the state playoffs. If you're a team from up north, that seems a little early to get eliminated to really kind of garner this kind of consideration or this kind of an award, compared to some of the teams down here that are playing through what is not arguably a tougher conference with better competition and winning state championships.
No, certainly, and New Fairfield obviously doesn't have the depth of a New Canaan or a Darien, which in some ways makes the job of the star player a little bit tougher, because there's without the depth and the supporting cast around it. And of course there were some other girls also with very impressive seasons. Taylor Moore at Weston, 107 goals. Haley McCormick at Pomprog, 58 goals. Chandler Kirby, with the two, also an All-American. So it's a tough call. And it's hard to say like who teams playing on different players on different teams playing different schedules. Kind of, you just have to use your best judgment as far as who you make your MVP. There's really two schools of thought. There is kind of the best player on the best team, or the best numbers. Where do you go with that? You can make the case either way, I think.
And I think a big thing too to think about is it's the most valuable player, and there's no debating how valuable Bridget Zima was to that New Fairfield team and how she did carry them to the success that they had. So we're not trying to knock it or say she did not deserve that trophy. It's more the conversation of, do you believe you need to win a championship to earn this kind of a recognition, or is she truly the most valuable player on a team?
Yeah, it's what I always. It's almost like what I would call like at least not this year, but maybe last year. It's kind of like the LeBron James rule. If you take her off that team, how does that team do you think? And then in the case of LeBron James, they fall into the lottery. They do it, and they did it twice. But yeah, like I said, New Fairfield without the supporting cast that would have been around her at a Darien or a New Canaan. I don't really have a problem with the pick.
No. So our congratulations to Bridget Zima and all the girls who were selected for the Hearst Media All-Star team this year. We now switch over and we look at Trinity Catholic High School, who last Friday named its new athletic director with former alumni of then Stanford Catholic High School out of the class of 1970, Bob Robustelli. Bob is the son of Hall of Fame linebacker Andy Robustelli. He has coached at the high school has been an assistant coach for the high school for the past couple of years, is a 33-year veteran of the Little League coaching in Stanford. And Don, I think that this is a tremendous choice from Trinity Catholic.
No, I mean it's a home run. There's really no other way to say it. Just someone that's just been so closely affiliated with the school, having kids that have gone there, and just the recognition and just kind of the general accolades that have just come his way all the time. He also takes over the school. I mean, this is Trinity Catholic. This is a tough time for a lot of the Catholic schools. They have the relatively small enrollments. In the case of Trinity, Trinity playing against the Giants in the Class L and Double L divisions. So good luck to Bob, and I think a great hire for Trinity.
It is, and the first thing Bob talked about was that they want to expand and try to get more kids enrolled. They want to bring more kids in, especially for the athletic department, which Trinity and St. Joe's have that advantage of being able to recruit kids to come and play. There were rumors that the football stadium was not going to be ready for week 1. It's going to be on track. They're going to play that game there against New Canaan on September 10th. Does this process now of new football facilities, renovations to the high school, new baseball and softball facilities, you're going to get lights in there, does this open the door for kids to start expressing serious interest in Trinity?
Well, I think it does. I mean, in my experience, going to a Catholic school myself, I don't know how many kids will go to a school based on on the football facilities, particularly when your parents have to write a check for it. But I think the opposite could be true. Like a kid that maybe is a football player and was considering Trinity Catholic either because they're interested in the religious basis of the education, or just because of of the legacy and parents that are alums. I do think that if a school has substandard facilities, a kid that was considering Trinity would opt not to go there. I don't know that a kid would go to Trinity specifically for the purpose of playing football, particularly when Trinity draws kids from Stamford and Darien and a lot of these places that do have outstanding football programs. So, but I do think that it's one of those things. I don't think great facilities will build your program, but it will definitely hurt your program if you don't have them.
Absolutely. Trinity will be the last school to make the switch from grass field to true now. I guess it would be a turf stadium, grass turf, AstroTurf, or GURF, whatever you want to call it, as they will have that project completed and will be set to host New Canaan week 1 of the football season. That is going to do it for us. Don, any final thoughts?
No, just good luck to the Connecticut teams going on in the baseball tournaments out in the regions. Also, a lot of softball being played around here. Also, teams trying to get to the regionals. So good luck to all the young athletes there.
Absolutely. We hope all the Connecticut athletes have a lot of success this summer. We wish you the best of luck. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Make sure you tune into Coffee Break at 11 with Kate Chaplensky. For Donald Eng, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you tomorrow here on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.